is it dickish for me to say yes? Because
No,
I do
no,
think
I
you
don't
would.
think so.
I think you
It's
would.
fine. Also,
think you
some
would.
people do serve. Yeah.
Yeah, there's survivors in Hell of Summer.
I think you would.
Hi, I'm Kristen Maldonado from Pop Culture Planet. It's so great to meet you guys. How are you doing today?
Great.
Good. Yeah. How are you?
I'm great. I wanted to start with you, Finn and Billy. You know, this is not the first time you guys have collaborated. I'm sure it won't be the last. What makes you guys the ideal team? And is there anything that you learned from past experiences that really helped you when it came to directing your first feature?
I think what really helped us on this one is that we had the same end goal in mind. And I think from the very beginning of writing the movie, we realized that we had a very similar sensibility and we wanted to make a movie that was very similar. So as we wrote it, we just honed in on this movie, and I think we shared the same movie in our mind. So that was really, really helpful. And I think had there have even been more conflict in the writing process at the beginning, we maybe would have realized maybe one of us should direct this and the other not. But because it was this great collaboration from the very start, I never was worried about having sort of two cooks in the kitchen on this one.
Yeah, and usually what sort of happened was it is great writing with someone else because you just have the shared vision, and it was awesome because if you forgot something or then your partner picks up the slack and vice versa, and it's a push, it's like a push and pull constantly and in a really creative, good way.
And Fred, I was curious about your character because I feel like they're stuck in this really kind of interesting, awkward place in life where it's that weird period between childhood and adulthood and not wanting to let that go. What can you tell us about that?
I just think it was such a key to who Jason is. He loves Camp Pineway more than anybody else in the world, and he also has to grow out of it. It's really, it's just, I don't know. I so relate to that, and it's I find transitions to be very difficult. I find it's just so hard when you care about, you start caring about things and you're like, now what? Now I have to pack up and care about something else. And I think I think he has that with that place, and I also think he has a real sense of identity in that. So
I wanted to start with you, Abby, because I feel like your character is a little torn between maybe going back to help everyone and maybe moving on, going to save herself. What can you tell us about your journey in this film?
I think that's put perfectly. I think that's kind of the crux of her entire journey in this movie. She comes in to this movie as a loner and an outsider and is not really connecting with people. And I think she has to decide for herself whether she wants to take a leap of faith and try to connect with people, or just save herself. I think in the end, when she does return to save Jason, it's a big moment for her because it, I think, is showing herself and also the audience that she is ready and willing to put herself out there and she's not really trying to stay in her shell anymore. So that was really fun and just made me happy to see that that's the end of her journey.
Something else that I really loved about this film was that I feel like stereotypically killers in slasher movies are white guys, and I really love that you guys subverted that in this movie. What can you tell us about that?
For us, it really just came from the actors, and we saw so many different actors, and these tapes stood out to us immediately as just being such unique, special takes on these characters.
And Carmen Cuba, our casting director, just is so amazing. And I mean, from the beginning, we wanted to read everyone. We didn't want it to feel this white summer camp. We want the people that I knew growing up were not just white kids. And I feel like there's a lot of movies that do that just have a whole cast. And for us, it was important to not only have some inclusivity in that, but also the tapes were so incredible and they really understood the film. So
that was the main thing for DeFaro said something similar. He just was as I was reading, I just was picturing this being a white guy. And then the second he told us that, and then the second we saw his tape, I was this is such a special performer. This is such a special take on this character that it really just became it has to be him.
I thought it was awesome playing a killer. I mean, especially because a lot of times in horror films, people of color die first. So killing first is way better, in my opinion. So yeah, I was excited to do that.
I die last. So
yeah.
how you like that?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. exactly. We really beat those stereotypes. You know?
Exactly. We came out on top, kind of.
I love that. And Paradis, I was gonna say, I loved your scene where Demi sort of like is mocking Jason for thinking like, "Oh, you think I'm being manipulated? You thought, you know?" So what was that like filming that? I thought that was I was rooting for her at that point. You know, I was like, I know I'm supposed to root for the counselors, but I was kind of rooting for you.
That's what I'm talking about. It was so fun. I remember seeing the sun set right before we went into the boathouse to shoot and then watching the sun rise after, but it feels like it went by in like a blink. Like we were just running that monologue, running that scene over and over. We had so much fun with it. And the guys were just so willing to like mess around with the light. And like we did so much blocking that day on like just in the moment being like, what if we tried it like that? What if you're circling him? What if you're, you catch the light in the knife. And so we found some really cool moments. It went by really, really quickly, it felt like, but it was one of my favorite days filming.
I just thought it was badass, like you said, to be able to see, people of color being the ones that are, flipping the script a little bit. Which we don't always get to see. I thought that was really awesome.
And the girl being the mastermind too.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It was cool with my monologue at the end too, with Billy. A lot of those lines were added into it. I didn't know what I was going to say that time. Like a lot of those lines were added in very soon. So a lot of the stuff I'm talking, screaming in his face, half the time spitting in his face, top of my lungs. While there's like flames behind us. It was fun. It was so much fun, and especially his whole reason with the whole sex thing. Felt so weird just coming out of my mouth half the time. I'm just like screaming in his face about weird stuff, man. I'm like, what?
But I remember that day of the scene that DeFaro's talking about with when DeFaro and Billy are fighting. It was, I think, Perdis, did you go to set that day too? We were all eating donuts, and it was
gone at that point. I think I was out.
Yeah.
Well, I just remember it being this big day where people who were not even filming just came to set because there was so much excitement around that scene and what you guys were coming up with. And we were all just sitting in a tent eating donuts, trying to hear what was happening inside. So we just kind of, it was going to be something good.
If you guys could bring in another iconic killer for a team up, maybe in a Hell of a Summer 2, who would you want to bring in?
Megan Fox and Jennifer's Body.
Oh.
Ooh.
I think she's the only person Demi would listen to. That's why.
Damn, that's a really good question. A lot of these killers are so silent. They're so quiet. So like, I can't even talk to these guys half the time. Probably the guys from Scream because they seem crazy and I don't know, relatable, I guess. But yeah. Because half the time Michael's quiet. He's not saying shit to me when I'm trying to talk to him. Jason too. He's probably trying to kill me too, right? Yeah, right? Like he doesn't like people. You've seen Freddy versus Jason. He doesn't like other killers. So.
I'm picturing an animated character that has maybe never killed before, but some like an animated sidekick.
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Something like that.
For the sequel.
Yes. I think that could be interesting.
Maybe the Xenomorph.
That would be, yeah.
I'm interested in something else coming in that's maybe of a different planet and something
100%.
That's a little bit, the stakes are raised.
Predator?
That could be awesome.
Dude, Predator meets the devil.
Yeah.
Predator versus the devil.
You guys, have been a part of so many iconic projects. I'm curious, how do you think your characters from maybe something like White Lotus or Stranger Things or Winona Earp do in the world of Hell of a Summer? Do you think they would have survived?
Do you think your character from White Lotus would have survived Hell of a Summer?
Probably not. I mean, I think the people that like, I don't.
What was my?
I don't think so. I don't think he would survive. I mean, maybe he would like. He could
scrape by. Well, that's kind of escape. In White Lotus, you do like at the end you do end up.
Yeah, I think by the end of the show.
But at Camp Pineway, all of the canoes and kayaks are destroyed, right?
Yep.
Yep. So there we go.
No, they are. They were gone. They were
gone.
taken. Yeah,
they're gone. So yeah, he wouldn't be able to paddle away in this case. I don't know. I do think I think.
I mean, there's no reason there's no canoes in the movie. Like, we were like, if we show a canoe, that's the whole thing we have to deal with.
Yeah.
So they were done.
I remember that.
Do you think you'd survive? Do you think Mike would survive?
is it dickish of me to say yes? Because
No.
I do think
No,
you
I don't
would.
think so.
I think you
It's
would.
fine. Also,
you
some
would.
people do serve. Yeah.
Yeah, there's survivors in Hell Summer.
I think you would.
No, my answer is no. I don't think he'd survive. He's already kind of
Do you remember
dead.
his character?
His name is Billy.
Really?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. He already was kind of like a demon, if I recall.
Oh.
Correctly. I did a lot of demon work. It was
Right.
very interesting. Not a lot of
That would
dialogue.
make me think he would.
Yeah, I suppose you would. I think everybody in that show is pretty
Would-
tough.
they
So I
would
think it'd
survive.
be a good. Yeah, you're right.
I take it back. I'd survive too. If you guys are gonna survive.
I mean, yeah.
The
I was
three
trying
you
to make you
guys
feel
would
better.
team up, take down the devil. I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. Congratulations. I appreciate you speaking with me about the film.
Of course.
Appreciate
Thanks so
you.
much.
Thanks.
Consider subscribing if you like this video and get even more entertainment news at popcultureplanet.net. See ya!